Hi everyone, welcome to Euromaxx Highlights, the best of this week's shows. Featuring food, flowers and furniture, here's a peek at what we've got coming up for you. Colourful, we visit a magnificent flower festival in Spain. Tasty, white truffles are a sought-after delicacy from Italy. And impressive, a brand new bread museum opens in Austria. Let's start off in the warm climes of Cordoba, where the sun shines year-round. Sounds like an ideal place to grow beautiful flowers, right? The Andalusian city is hosting the inaugural international flower festival, Flora. But it's not just sunshine and daisies. 8 floral artists are competing to be crowned the best, transforming the courtyards of Cordoba with their arrangements. We followed them as they were setting up their displays.
It may be autumn, but Cordoba is in full bloom. 8 top international florists have let their imaginations run wild for displays inside public courtyards across the southern Spanish city. Flora is both a competition for the artists and a festival for the public. This courtyard features a work by Thomas de Bruyne of Belgium. The internationally acclaimed floral artist brought some 2,000 azaleas to Cordoba.
I was inspired by the paradise in Cordoba. So first of all, I used the patio. Patio is paradise for Cordoba. And second, I also used like a filigrane cordobesa. That's a craftsmanship. People really love it in Cordoba. So those two together, I want to have a dialogue with the patio, with the craftsmanship, and with the festival to create a dialogue with the people.
One day before the festival opened, he was still busy with 22 assistants who had just 4 days to transform his vision into a floral reality. Every detail matters. Thomas de Bruyne is demanding.
We have to redo it. Out, yes, out, and redo. Yeah. We need perfection. The edge between the plants and the wall is like almost like 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters too wide. So they have to move all the plants 3-4 centimeters to the wall. I like if everything is suits well. It's part of the concept.
A Chinese entrepreneur donated a total of 120,000 euros in prize money. Awards are given to the 3 best entries. Also in the running is Robert Hornsby, the creative director of London's In Water Flowers. His works provide food or flowers for thought.
Reflections is basically looking at yourself, looking at your soul, looking at who you are, where you came from, what are you doing, are you happy? I think when people see themselves in the mirror, it's very challenging sometimes. The ultimate question is, are you happy today? Am I happy today? Do I like myself?
The courtyard of the Archaeological Museum is the backdrop for an installation by Patrick Nadeau from France, a trained architect with a passion for plants. He counts companies like Hermès and Louis Vuitton as his customers. He's particularly interested in archaeology.
Archaeology is the history of civilization. It's the history of humankind, of things, or architecture. And all of that could only arise because before there were humans, there were plants. They're the source of life. They give us the air we breathe. That's why I find it so compelling to install a kind of enormous vessel filled with plants at the heart of an archaeological museum.
Isabel Marias is from Madrid. She used to work as a fashion designer, but for the last 7 years she's been designing floral artworks. Like this one in the inner courtyard of Cordoba's Bullfighting Museum.
This is an extraterrestrial garden from another planet. To get away from traditional ideas of what a paradise should look like, I didn't use any green plants and only chose ones with unusual colors. In this way, I hope to create a kind of dream world, an imaginary world.
Cordoba is famous for its inner courtyards, known as patios. Hardly any other city in Spain boasts as many. On behalf of the city, Emilio Ruiz Mateo organized the International Flower Festival, Flora, and brought the floral artists to Andalusia.
The patios of Cordoba play a central role here. They date from Roman times, were perfected by the Arabs, and are just the place for flowers. That's what we wanted to link, this ancient culture with a passion for flowers.
Modern floral creations surrounded by historical architecture. The prize for the loveliest patio went to this installation, designed by two Americans. The jury awarded Thomas de Bruyne's patio second place and €40,000 in prize money. The Belgian floral artist has already jetted off to his next assignment in San Francisco, but visitors can still admire his floral paradise in Cordoba until the end of October.
Well, October marks the start of white truffle season, a period of less than 2 months in which this expensive tuber can be harvested. The reason the white ones are worth so much is that they simply cannot be grown in artificial conditions. And that's why every year thousands flock to the truffle capital Alba in northwestern Italy to marvel at this culinary treasure.
The white truffle, the king of all foods. At the truffle market in Alba, in Italy's Piedmont region, the scent of this rare tuber delights people from all over the world.
Heaven? I don't know. Yeah, it's a very distinct taste. You either love it or hate it.
When you eat it, after it, you smell something.
I don't want to be shameless, but I want more of it. If only it weren't so expensive.
Mauro Carbone from Alba is a regular visitor to the market during the white truffle harvest season.
It means a fantastic smell, an emotion. Every truffle is a different emotion. It's very funny, it's very amazing to go around in the truffle market and to smell many different truffles. The autumn is my season because the autumn is the season of truffle.
The truffle harvest celebrations in Alba are lively and colourful. Mauro Carbone likes to pop into Tartufi Mora, a truffle shop founded in 1930 by Giacomo Mora. He had the idea of giving truffles to celebrities like Alfred Hitchcock or Albert of Monaco. Pictures of them holding truffles laid the foundations for the cult of the Alba white truffle. Now tons of them are sent all over the world by express courier.
We have a good quality with the best marketing, so this is the reason why Alba is so famous in the world for the white truffles. But the reason is Giacomo Mora, because he was a genius in the marketing.
Fresh truffles arrive at the market every day from the forests around Alba. Truffle hunters search for them with specially trained dogs. When the dog smells a truffle, it scratches the ground. The truffle hunter then carefully digs up the treasure.
The real protagonist is the dog. We say we take the dog out, but actually he takes us out, and he's the one who finds the truffle.
Before a truffle can be sold at Alba's market, an expert assesses whether it fulfills the quality requirements demanded by the capital of the white truffle. Getting the coveted certificate was no problem for this particular truffle.
This is a fantastic truffle. It has all the aromas it needs. It smells of honey, garlic and mushroom, and it is very complex and very interesting.
No wonder it won first prize in the Tartufo Reale competition. An important centre of the truffle culture is the Castello Grinzane near Alba. It's the seat of the Order of the Knights of the Truffle and Wines of Alba and houses a truffle museum. It's also a venue for truffle auctions, where gourmets and celebrities like Gérard Depardieu sometimes bid more than €100,000 for an especially large truffle.
First, there are so few of them. Second, people love them, gourmets and experts who really have sensitive, trained palates. And third, when you eat them with the right food and the right wine, so that they unfold their whole flavor, it's paradise.
Truffles are best when shaved into paper-thin slices over pasta. Some people say the first bite is very special.
I can eat the truffle not once, but 10 times, no more. And I wait for 9, 10 months. It's very long because at the end of December there are no more truffle for at least 9 months. And you have to wait, and when it's autumn again, it's a party for my nose.
Mauro Carbone and the world's other truffle aficionados have another few weeks to enjoy the intoxicating scent and flavour of the white truffles of Alba.
Now, people all over Europe argue that it's their country that has the best bread. Whether it's the French baguette, the Italian ciabatta, or one of the 300 different types available here in Germany. Well, in Austria, one man set out to chronicle the history of this staple. Earlier this month, the so-called Paneum opened its doors, a museum dedicated solely to bread.
This futuristic building is the fulfillment of one man's dream. The Paneum, a museum located in Asten, near the Austrian city of Linz. And it's dedicated to one thing: bread. It's the vision of Austrian bakery owner Peter Augendobler, whose company Backaldrin makes millions. This is his personal tribute to bread.
If everything else was gone, but you still had bread, you could live, no matter how bad things were. Throughout history, the moment there was no bread, people knew it was over. That's what's fascinating about bread.
Peter Augendobler always had his heart set on an unusual building for the museum. For some visitors, the avant-garde shape conjures up images of baking.
It kind of reminds you of a Bund cake tin, but it's not quite right.
It also kind of looks like bread while it's baking.
Yeah, bread.
The museum building was designed by Vienna's internationally renowned architecture studio Coop Himmelblau. But architect Wolf D. Prix had something else in mind when designing the building.
I'm always glad when people have new interpretations, like that it's a loaf of bread or a cake. It's not true, of course. I wasn't thinking about dough or loaves of bread at all. I was imagining a cloud ship.
The Paneum has all the stylings Coop Himmelblau is known for. The firm has gained worldwide recognition for its innovative designs, like the European Central Bank in Frankfurt, BMW World in Munich, and the Musée des Confluences in Lyon. Paneum founder Peter Augendobler never believed he'd get Wolf D. Prix for the project, so he was all the more thrilled when he said yes.
When I saw him, I knew we were in good hands. The way he spoke was so intense, emotional and charming. I thought, I have to build Mr. Augendobler, a work of art, one that fits with the times.
The building was conceived as a personal exhibition space for the collector. Exhibits are presented in display cases, they hang on the walls and from the ceiling. The central spiral staircase leads visitors up through the 4 exhibition levels and into the main chamber of the museum decked in wood. Over the years, Peter Augendobler has amassed a collection of some 1,200 pieces for the museum.
We want to show the visitors the influence bread has had on the history of mankind over the last 6,000 to 8,000 years in food, farming, culture, art, and most notably, religion.
The museum explains the origins of bread, for example, with this 9,000-year-old grain milling stone. It shows how bread is revered in many of the world's religions, like in South America and Egypt, and how baking is represented in art.
People eat bread every day and don't think anything of it. That's also not the consumer's job. But if you take a bit of time to consider the history of bread, the connections, it's a nice feeling because you're taking part in several thousand years of tradition.
How much did it cost to make his dream come true? That's Peter Augendobler's secret. With the Paneum, he just hopes to share his passion for bread with as many visitors as possible.
Decorating your home can be a chore for some of us. Here in Germany, flats are rarely furnished, and so everyone gets a chance to be their very own interior designer. For Berlin apartment owner Payam Sharifi, it was the perfect opportunity to combine diverse elements into a unique style called urban ethno.
Payam Sharifi lives in an elegant imperial-era apartment in the heart of Berlin.
Hello, welcome to our home. Please come in.
Payam is an Iranian-American artist and writer. His home is a reflection of his extensive travels around the world, from which he's brought back a treasure trove of furniture and art. Every item has a story to tell.
This piece in the center of the room is a sculpture by a Polish artist, and whose name is Oskar Dawicki, and the sculpture is called Speech is Silver, and it's a mold of a throat referencing the punishment during medieval times for blasphemy or heresy was to pour molten silver down the throat.
Accents of color provide a striking contrast to the white walls. The stuccoed ceilings were freed of decades of paint with painstaking care. At the center, a Czech cubist chandelier.
We've been wanting to have this piece in our home for about 15 years. And when we first saw it in Prague in the early 2000s, we couldn't afford it, so we had our parents buy it for themselves. And about 13, 14 years later, we managed to afford one for our own home.
Payam shares the 100 square meter apartment with his wife. He admits he's happy to let her make decisions when it comes to the decor.
Please meet Kasia, my partner. She's designed the whole apartment, and she began with this Moroccan door. This door was made in Morocco, and a friend of Kasia's had actually an extra one here in Berlin that we were lucky enough to have, and this was the kind of first stone that was set in this apartment. And what's special about the door is it really gives you a different impression of being transported to a different realm or to a different space when you walk through it. Come with me.
Breathable tiles lend the bedroom a Mediterranean feel.
What happens is it creates a microclimate. Everybody knows that it's healthier to sleep in colder room temperatures. And instead of having to open the windows, where you have a draft, for example, here the cold sort of envelops you or surrounds you.
An array of decorative objects from Asia and Africa give a sense of ethnic identity and soul to this home in the middle of Berlin. Wooden chairs, animal pelts, and hand-woven carpets create a rustic feel and infuse the airy space with boho chic touches. The artist collective Slavs and Tatars feel at home in this cozy space. The living room is dominated by a large daybed.
This is called a tacht, or we call it a riverbed. It's a kind of vernacular piece of furniture that you find often outside, near a river, in cafes, in parks, and in places like Iran where unmarried men and women can't socialize together. The riverbed becomes one of the unique spots where women and men can mingle.
Traditional handiwork combined with contemporary art. This apartment's eclectic mix of styles is as much an invitation to settle as it is to travel the world.
Well, staying in Berlin, the German capital is known for its wide array of restaurants serving up culinary delights from all over the world. For the last 20 years, the organization Berlin Partner has been crowning the best cooks in the region. And among 2017's winners is Tay Duc Ngo, who came to the city as a refugee from Vietnam when he was just 5 years old. Now he's the proud owner of 11 restaurants in the city, and given his appetite for cross-cultural cuisine, it's unlikely he'll stop there.
The Berlin Master Chef's Gala Dinner. The most exciting names in the German capital's restaurant scene are honored here. Among this year's winners is Sebastian Frank, Berlin's Master Chef 2017. He's garnered 2 Michelin stars for his restaurant Horvath. Tay Duc Ngo is still working on his first Michelin star. He's had no formal training as a chef, yet he runs some of Berlin's most popular restaurants. And for that, he's been named the city's culinary innovator.
My restaurants always add something new in the way we conceive and style them. That's why I see myself as a culinary innovator. It's a good award. It suits me.
His latest innovation is Funky Fish, a Portuguese fish restaurant with a Japanese twist. It's a typical Tay Duc Ngo restaurant with a clear concept in both cuisine and design. Yet when planning a new restaurant, the concept isn't always set in stone. Often, he's inspired by the space itself.
At first, Funky Fish was supposed to be a chicken and beer place. But when we started cleaning the walls, we discovered that we got a really nice room here. And suddenly the paneled ceiling stood out, and this glass came to the forefront. It looked almost like an aquarium sitting inside here. So we said, okay, chicken and beer is out. We need to get a bit more money together and make it into a nice fish restaurant.
Tay Duc Ngo was born in Vietnam in 1974. 5 years later, his family fled to Germany. After finishing school, he worked in a sushi restaurant and found his calling. He opened his own sushi bar, Cucci, in 1999. After that, he created 893 Ryote, which serves up Japanese Peruvian fusion food. And Madame Ngo, a French-Vietnamese establishment specializing in pho, the traditional noodle soup of his homeland. Tay Duc Ngo doesn't like to restrict himself to a single type of cuisine.
I'm not really a trained chef. I didn't do an apprenticeship. But I think that gives you more ambition, because if you don't have such a sound education or training, you can get really creative. I think there are many self-taught people who are always really far ahead in different professions around the world, precisely because they're so ambitious.
His creativity and ambition helped him win the Master Chef Culinary Innovator Award. But there's another ingredient, too.
He has a talent that few others have. He can bring things to dishes that can't be explained, and which you simply can't learn to do either.
But with all his talent for innovation, Tay Duc Ngo says there's still one restaurant he hasn't tried yet.
I'm a big fan of German cuisine, of down-to-earth German food. I grew up with it because I experienced all that in daycare when I came here. As a Vietnamese immigrant, it's always been my dream to give the Berliners back a true Berlin restaurant.
Turning meat patties and knuckle of pork into culinary innovations? If anyone can do it, it's Tay Duc Ngo.
Look forward to it. So that's it for this Highlights edition. From me and the rest of the crew here in Berlin, thanks for watching and see you again soon.